parents and carers, and welcome to our virtual reading workshop. It's at this time of the year that we normally invite you guys in to come and have a look and see our favourite time of the day, guided reading, and see what your children are doing in those sessions, and encourage ways for you to be able to support your children in their reading at home. So the aim of today's session and workshop is to give you a clear idea of what your children are learning in their reading lessons at school and how you can support their development at home. Starting off by sharing with you what the national curriculum expectations are for your children now that they're in Year 5. So the main aim is to expose them to a wide genre of different text types. It's going to be looking at poetry, at plays, at fiction text, non-fiction text, articles, publications, reference books, the whole genre. But it's really important to stress they'll find some more enjoyable than others. They'll find others trickier to comprehend than others. Doesn't stop us from exposing them to it. That practice, that exposure to it is only going to allow them to have more confidence to access it. So along the whole of this workshop, the main theme is how are we as the deliverers of reading for the children and facilitators going to ensure that the children are really enjoying reading. Enjoyment of reading is at the stem of every bit of that academic success for them. If they enjoy the reading, if they really immerse themselves into all of these texts, they are going to make progress, they are going to understand it. And my aim today is going to be to share with you little tricks to help the children to immerse themselves through questioning into the text, and how we do that. I'm going to share that with you today. So when we're reading with the children, we have got these main aims to go through. So increase their familiarity with a whole range of books, and so that they're not fazed by the different kind of genres. Enjoy books to the extent that they're happy and comfortable to recommend suggestions to their peers, to their family, to their friends. I've read this book, you've got to give it a go because I loved the crime part of it, or I love this book because that fantasy part of it was absolutely brilliant. You've got to give it a try. To look at what similar themes are going across the range of texts, we'll look at books that have got similar themes in class. It might be through characters, it might be through the authors, it might be through the ideas that are being presented, but for children to sort of be able to make those links between the texts, make a comparison within one book and across a range of books. Does that author have a certain style? Why did they have that? Is it down to what their upbringing was? Is it down to their experiences or what their beliefs are? And then the last three strands here are looking really importantly at ensuring that the children have got a secure understanding of what all those words mean in the text in the context of that book, pulling out words that they are unknown to them at the beginning and being able to identify their meaning in the context of the book. Drawing inferences, I talk to the children about this, the fact that they are being like detectives. The information there for inference is not there in black and white. How do they infer? How do they get ideas from based on what they have got in the text? And the last one there on this page is the ability to be able to summarise the ideas that are in that text. We then move on to making predictions. We aim to give your children opportunities to make predictions. Retrieving, recording and presenting. Now they are the basic fact-finding skills from a text, and that's something that we do want to teach the children, but they are there very clearly stated. And when we go into Year 5 and 6, we sort of start to come away from the simple retrieval because that's an easy skill to pick up on, and to really move towards those inferences and the reason why those words have been used in there. We encourage the children massively to have their own opinions about the texts, absolutely, and have their views, but then at the same time looking at why the author chose those words. Was it a fact? Was it an opinion? And really delving into the purpose of that text and why it was actually written. And again, this goes back to the reason why it's so important to look at a whole range of genres, not just non-fiction text, which becomes quite the familiar one for children to go to straight away. They'll only be able to access all of these expectations from the national curriculum if they have got exposure to a wide range of texts. Fact and opinion, you're not going to get that in simple non-fiction texts all the time. Publications are going to be easier for that, obviously. So the big thing, how can you guys help us at home? And the overarching theme in here, parents and carers, is definitely encouraging them. The aim is to make them enjoy reading, give them a big range of materials to choose from. It doesn't have to be that you've got to go out and do a big order of new books. It's going to be go to a library, a boot sale, sharing books with one another, with book swaps between friends. Is there something online that you've looked? Is there a magazine subscription that you're really interested in? Is it cookbooks, newspapers? Kids need to see that you read too. You find reading enjoyable, and as you're doing that, you ask questions within it, they ask you questions within it, and it is a together thing. In our guided reading lessons, it is very much a teacher and child together. We are reading the book together, we are investigating the book together. The children see us teachers enjoying reading, and they will too. So without going into too much depth about the names and the labels for each of these descriptors, when the children are reading, we aim to have these as our overarching descriptions to be able to teach the children from. So we need to make sure that we are explaining to the children the meanings of words in context. We're looking at that word. What does it mean in the context of that sentence? We are retrieving, we are summarizing, making those inferences, like I said, those predictions, identifying what that meaning of the text is to the text as a whole, making those comparisons and looking at why the author has chosen those words. So every time we ask questions, they come back to these main descriptors, and today I'm going to show you questions that you can ask the children while they're reading a text that will help us to be able to achieve these objectives. So the first one is all about the meaning of words. So we're looking at, you'll have a text, there'll be a word that you'll come across with your child that you will not necessarily know what it means. Yes, we can get out a dictionary. Yes, we can look up to find out what that word means, or you can look at the sentence around the text, you look around the word to help you to work out what that word means, and then you really look at that. What does that one word tell us about the character, the setting, the atmosphere? What does it actually mean? Why has the author chosen that word? Can you think of a different word? We call that a synonym to fit or replace that word. The children accessing new words in their reading, and knowing what it means fully, it gives them more opportunity and a larger chance to be able to access that word and use that in their writing as well. And that's where the magic really comes in their writing, for sure. Retrieval, that is retrieving, grabbing hold of key facts, key messages, key bits of information. Now, when the children go on to do their formal testing in year 5 and 6, the retrieval questions are often very minimal in their marks, but they can gather marks with that, obviously. They are simply retrieving the simple black and white messages. Where's the story set? What time of the year was it? Where did they go? What time of the year or when did this happen? Who are the key characters in this book? So they're simply pulling that out. Now, I'd have to stress to you guys as parents, it's very easy to just rely on those sorts of simple questions and retracting that key information. Imperative, yes, but we want to be able to delve a little bit deeper so that the kids fully understand the text. So summarising is a great way of doing that. We're using summarising Sheba to help us with this. So when we're summarising, you don't need to just say, give me a summary of that book then. You can ask the kids, can you describe to me what happened? You can play that parent that wasn't paying attention and say, oh, can you remind me what happened in that paragraph? I love this one. If you're using less than 20 words, write me a quick blurb for just this paragraph, it might be, or for this chapter, it might be. It doesn't have to be written, it can just be orally said. I love playing a game called Just a Minute with the children. So they have literally just 1 minute to explain what's happened in that section of text that we've been looking at. The game is that they are not allowed to say they're not allowed to say and they are not allowed to repeat themselves. They have just got to keep summarising for 1 whole minute. A minute actually ends up feeling like quite a long time if you're not allowed to repeat yourself or pause for any sustained period of time. Children love it. They love catching each other out. You can join your child in and have a go at playing the game. I'd love to hear how you get on. Asking the children, what was the moment that you remember the most from that paragraph or that chapter? What was a bit that stuck in your head the most? And then talk about it. I do have to stress, parents, at this point, that it doesn't always have to be that you are asking questions all the way through the book when you are reading with them. We encourage parents to read for half an hour every night with their children. It doesn't have to be that you are reading out loud. It might be a page each. It might be just the child reading, but you don't have to ask questions all the way through. You might just pick each time a page, a paragraph or a little section so that you don't take away the enjoyment part of it by overdoing it with the questions. It doesn't have to happen all the time or all the way through your reading session with the kids. Inferences then. So inferences, what are you inferring? What are you finding out as a result of what was in that text? It is not there in black and white. What are you working out because of what is suggested in the text? Why did the character behave like that? So you might have a character that is throwing a tantrum. They've not said why. What's happened before and after? Can you make that inference? What do they seem to think about each other? The way that they speak to each other will show that. The way that the characters are acting. Ask the children that question. Help them to get into that world, that imaginary world that they are in. What makes you think that? Can you show me some, prove it, give me some evidence. You prove it, show me where you know that from. What part of it has given you that? How do you know? Can you give me a reason for your answer? That's where all these inferences and that justifying comes from. Predicting with prediction pick. So the common one, what's going to happen next? I like, what do you think is most likely to happen? What's least likely to happen? Do you think the author's got a plan for this character? How could that have changed? How do you think the story is going to develop? Again, going back to where is the evidence to support your answer? Prove that to me that your prediction is a viable prediction. Looking at the author and why they choose to use these words. Again, like I said, when the children are reading, it's giving them the opportunity to pick up on language they otherwise would not know, otherwise would not have heard perhaps, otherwise may not have been exposed to. If we really look into why those words are being used, the children are going to be more likely to use that in their everyday language, in their everyday writing, in their everyday conversations. What impact did those choice of words that the author has used have on us? Why did the author choose to use those words. If he'd used a different word, how would that have changed the meaning? Would it have had less significance? Really go into all of those. Reading every day is a massive, massive, important part of your child's upbringing, parents. Try to make it a quiet time. Try to make it a little bit of time away from your daily rushes. I know I'm there with it as well as a parent. I understand, but sometimes putting aside jobs and finding that little bit of time to just stop and immerse yourself into a text with your child is a lovely way to escape reality. It's a lovely bit of time where you and your child can enter another world where you are part of it, but as an observer, and it is a lovely thing to be able to do. Try to find a quiet area, a comfortable place where you and your child are sitting there and you are enjoying a text together. As the children are getting older now, they're reading more interesting, more imaginative texts, and it really is giving you the opportunity to enjoy that and go on that journey with them. Pick a little bit at a time, probe them with questions, allow the children to ask you questions, see if you can answer them. Ask them that they're going to be the detective. Can you work out the clues? Be part of that journey with them, and I assure you, you will enjoy it as much as we do. So just to recap then, reading with your child, let them read independently too, ask them questions, try to set up that special place that's dedicated to reading, anywhere that you would like to do so, and show them that you are reading too and you enjoy that reading as well. At school, guided reading, most definitely when we speak to our pupils at school, it isn't seen as a chore. That guided reading session is that time to just sit, stop and chill out with a book, and that is really what we want to see happening at home as well.